Hello, good evening and welcome to episode 23, I think, of Fracking Nightmare. Where have the past 6 months gone? Seems to pass in the blink of an eye. Well, we've taken a 3-week break and a lot has occurred in that 3 weeks. Tonight's show is not actually live, it's recorded on the afternoon of Thursday, 24th of April, as I have an event. I will be speaking on the 28th, Monday 28th, at St Anne's in Blackpool. So if you're watching this show, you're obviously not at St Anne's, or of course you might be watching it on YouTube and have already been to St Anne's. Well, thank you for joining us. We are hot from Barton Moss. I literally left Barton Moss late last night, having seen the camp literally closed down for the summer months. So I'm going to show you some photographs of that a little bit later. And at the end of the show, I'm going to run the full 30 minutes of the final walkout of the convoy, which occurred last Monday. Because I think this is very telling, and the star of this walkout is a local, an Earlham resident by the name of Kevin Dunn, who, by his own admission, knew next to nothing about hydraulic fracturing prior to the arrival of the Barton Moss camp. But over the last few months, he has made an effort to educate himself and has become a regular participant in the Barton Moss Community Protection Camp, walking the convoys in and out at every possible opportunity, accompanied on many occasions by his wife and his son. And I think you'll see that the spirit of this man will not be broken regardless of the intimidation that is practiced by the Greater Manchester Police. So I'm going to start because this morning, Thursday, the 24th of April, I couldn't help but catch an article in the Daily Mail. This is an article, it's right at the front of the paper, ostensibly page 6, if we can bring this up on the screen here. This is the headline, Tories will end the scourge of onshore wind farms. Here's the article. It was a full-page article. And within that article, there is a subsection there, how the Conservatives have blown hot and cold on wind farms. Well, I just want to identify a couple of points here. This is the classic statement by Cameron in the run-up to the election. He said, "I want us to be the greenest government ever." A very simple ambition and one that I'm absolutely committed to achieving. Well, in reality, of course, we know very well that the way in which you tell when a politician is lying is that their lips move. And that might explain why it is that David Cameron has been trying to practice speaking without his lips moving. Well, Cameron says more recently, he says, "We can no longer have wind turbines imposed on communities. I can't single-handedly build a new Jerusalem." More of that perhaps another time. "But I can protect our green and pleasant land." Well, so much for Cameron's protection of the green and pleasant land, as of course he champions the onslaught of this country via an industry that is about to unleash an abomination known as hydraulic fracturing. So Cameron is very happy to shut down the wind farms and solar farms that are springing up around the country and push the hydraulic fracturing agenda. Now, the reason that this article caught my eye when I hate to admit, bought the Daily Mail was because I'd already seen an online article on the Daily Mail's website, and this is very different. It says here, family awarded $3 million after court finds chemical exposure from fracking on land next to their home left them sick and suffering horror side effects. Now, this is not the first time that the Daily Mail has published what is ostensibly a fracking awareness article on its website, yet failed to get those articles into the printed version. So this is apparently what passes as a balanced journalism. to put the government agenda into the printed version and then put anything that actually doesn't support the government agenda onto the online version, where of course it is seen by a lot less people. But let's take a closer look at this article. This is a story that most of us in the anti-fracking community became aware of a few days ago. So it says the Parr family, this is taken directly from the Daily Mail website. The Parr family of Decatur, Texas, first complained of falling ill in 2008 after Aruba Petroleum began fracking operations near to their ranch. Bob and Lisa Parr and their daughter Emma developed nosebleeds, nausea, rashes and asthma. And for those of you who have watched previous episodes of Fracking Nightmare, you'll be aware that this is consistent with the symptoms discussed by Brian Monk in episodes 2 and in episodes 18. Brian Monk, of course, being the Queensland farmer whose livelihood has been decimated by the gas industry in southern Queensland. The headlines continue. Some of their livestock were born with deformities after the Parr's land was contaminated. Now, this again is consistent with the report that was published by Professor Robert Oswald of Cornell University, and I discussed that report on a previous episode of Fracking Nightmare. Robert Oswald wrote an open letter to David Cameron last September, encourage him to exercise caution and avoid rushing into an industry where the negative impacts were irrefutable across various locations in the US. The Parrs launched a lawsuit against the energy firm, which went to trial. The jury sided with the Parr family, a first in fracking lawsuits in the US. Well, I'm not sure that it is actually a first, but if it is the first, it's certainly right there in probably single figures. The reason being is because the industry does everything it possibly can to avoid these cases coming to court. Generally, the industry will bribe the families into submission, offering them basically whatever compensation they think appropriate to just shut up, or as we've seen on a previous edition of Fracking Nightmare, they'll offer them a pizza voucher, which of course under Pennsylvania law, if the pizza voucher is then cashed in for a pizza, that effectively waives all further liability of the company because they can demonstrate that the claimant accepted their offer of compensation, a pizza. Well, here's a picture of the family. This is Bob and Lisa and their daughter Emma. And in the body of the article, it says a Texas family have won nearly $3 million in a judgment against an oil giant after claiming that fracking operations near their 40-acre ranch, that's a back garden by the Texan scale, left them suffering severe health side effects. In what is believed to be the first successful legal action against a shale operator, Bob and Lisa Parr sued Aruba Petroleum for damages for a raft of illness they and their daughter Emma have suffered for almost 6 years. They convinced the jury that the company's hydraulic fracturing operations had contaminated their water and land in Decatur, leaving them suffering nosebleeds, nausea, and rashes. Now, this was actually reported on Fox News in the US. Here we go, the screenshot, $3 million fracking verdict. And sorry for those who are faint of heart, but a more graphic picture of Bob Parr apparently suffering from one of the nosebleeds caused by the close proximity of the gas industry. Now, this really is remarkable because it occurred in Texas, which is the obviously the home of the oil industry, Dallas and Houston being cities that have effectively been established on the back of the oil industry. But the reality is that it is becoming increasingly apparent in these states that hydraulic fracturing does not work the same as conventional drilling. And more people are starting to recognize that this has an enormous negative impact, both in terms of the contamination and in terms of negative health impacts, which is why the twin cities of Dallas and Fort Worth have banned hydraulic fracturing within the city limits. The same is now true for Los Angeles. So with these cities recognizing that this is not something that they should be unleashing beneath their citizens, perhaps it's time that the wider community actually woke up to this. Meanwhile, on the iGas stock forum, whenever I post any link to any such negative event related to hydraulic fracturing, it's always met, of course, with the appropriate sociopathic derision. And after one particular link that I'd posted, one investor in iGas stock posted, well, until such time as the water is contaminated and thousands of people have been killed, invest, invest, invest. Well, we unfortunately have to acknowledge that there are an enormous number of socio-psychopaths who are participating either directly or indirectly in this industry. But there are ultimately way more people who have the appropriate level of common sense that can be applied to bring about the shutting down of this industry. In the UK, the battle continues. We are still ostensibly a frack-free nation, a frack-free country, a country that has only had one well fractured using the process of high-volume, high-pressure hydraulic fracturing, and that was the exploratory well drilled by Cuadrilla in Priest Hall on the Fylde Peninsula. Of course, last summer we had the Balkan blockade, a 66-day campaign to attempt to prevent Cuadrilla from fracking at Balkan. Well, that campaign was successful, not least thanks to the Reclaim Your Power camp coming down to Balkan over a weekend, which led the police to effectively advise Cuadrilla that they should shut down operations for 6 days. That 6-day delay effectively meant that Cuadrilla ran out of time before their planning permission expired on September the 28th. But as I speak, Cuadrilla have submitted another planning application to return to Balkan to run an acid frack or an acid etch. Either way, it's a frack. Their proposition is to pump 10,000 gallons of hydrochloric acid, they claim, which will be diluted to the rate of 10 to 1, but to run this acid frack at Balkan. And the planning officer of the West Sussex County Council has recommended that the Planning Committee of West Sussex County Council approve this application. You can find this application online, or by going to frackingnightmare.com, where you can download the document there and peruse it at your leisure. In this document, the planning officer makes the statement that the planning application should be approved, but he continues, constantly says, assuming that Cuadrilla uphold their obligations, assuming that the Environment Agency monitors the operation, assuming that the Health and Safety Executive does what it's supposed to do. So many assumptions. Well, that's exactly what has occurred in the US, in Canada, in Australia, all making assumptions, but in every case, the industry effectively not doing what it claims it can do, and the contamination being self-evident. So, after Balkan, there is now obviously a hiatus in the south of England, but the planning application, I believe, is going to be heard at the offices of West Sussex County Council on April 29th. So I think this is a call out for people, which will be the day after this show goes out live, Tuesday the 29th of April, a call out to participate in that meeting. No doubt West Sussex County Council will choose the smallest room in their offices, preventing people from actually contributing to the proceedings. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the UK, at Daneshill in Nottinghamshire, here's a picture that you will not have seen in the mainstream media. This is a young man by the name of Will, who on Monday of last week scaled the rig at Daneshill. Now, just to put this in perspective, I mean, this is a zoomed-in picture of Will sitting at the top of the rig, but here it is, sitting on top of I think it's about 15 meters, that's about 45 feet. So clearly the young man has a head for heights. Well, he sat on the top of that rig for 9 hours before coming down, and full credit to him for lasting 9 hours up there in that crow's nest. Well, he was subsequently taken to the local police station, where he was ultimately released without charge. Now, I think this is my perspective of what's occurring at Daneshill. Dart Energy are desperate to avoid negative publicity. They are desperate to avoid what's occurring at Daneshill becoming national news. So despite the fact that there has been a blockade there and the protection community at Daneshill have been delaying the trucks from entering the camp, basically Dart Energy have requested that there be a minimalistic police presence. Certainly not the antagonistic level of police presence that we've witnessed at Barton Moss over the last 5 months or so. So after Will had been arrested, I'm sure that the charge would have been aggravated trespass, but he was actually released without charge. And of course, this would have been under the instruction of Dart Energy, who would simply have told the police that they had no desire to press charges. So consequently, this event made it into the Retford Times and the Sheffield Star and BBC Radio Nottingham. But that's it. As far as the rest of the country is concerned, this incident didn't happen. So Dart's strategy of minimising publicity or negative publicity by effectively working with the protection community, indirectly of course, but working with the protection community to effectively plan around the protection community's desire to delay the trucks. So the Daneshill operation is, I think, pretty much almost over now, but what this does demonstrate is that there's the right to peaceful protest, without any shadow of doubt. And that's exactly what has been facilitated at Daneshill. But it's also worked with Dart Energy, and they have achieved what they set out to achieve. Dart Energy wants to keep itself out of the mainstream media. It's coming to the tail end of an inquiry in Scotland, where the Dart Energy has had to justify its capacity and capability to perform the process of hydraulic fracturing safely. So let's see how this pans out, because Dart Energy was almost bankrupt in October of last year and was effectively rescued by a massive cash injection from GDF, which is Gaz de France. So yet again, we have a situation where hydraulic fracturing is banned in France, but now we have two French companies, Total and Gaz de France, effectively buying into the shale gas activities here in the UK. So Barton Moss, well, the last 4.5 months, 149 days. So today is effectively day 150 after the first convoy went along Barton Moss Road to the iGas well site. And the last convoy, which you're going to see in the video a little later, the last convoy left on day 140. Now, it was always maintained that the protection community camp that was erected alongside Barton Moss Road, and here's one of the iconic pictures of that camp, right throughout the winter there, about 300 metres of verge along Barton Moss Road. And you see the mosses behind it. This is agricultural land. That's a field of winter wheat you see there in the hinterland. Well, iGas weren't quite so concerned about the national publicity, and of course iGas leaned on Peel Holdings, the iGas landlord, also the landlord of the BBC in Manchester. As I've discussed previously, Peel Holdings owning an enormous tranche of land right across the whole of the northwest of England, not least following the iGas licences along the Manchester Ship Canal and the River Mersey. And of course, Peel Holdings attempted to get the camp evicted back in February, but that attempt failed. The case is still before the Royal Court of Appeal, and in fact the case is scheduled to be heard in the Royal Court of Appeal on Tuesday, July the 16th. Well, the camp has seen many innovations, and I want to actually acknowledge the contribution of everybody who put themselves in front of the convoys, whether that was just walking in front of the convoys or whether it was doing something a little bit more dramatic, such as locking on. And here we see one of the lock-ons that occurred during the Barton Moss campaign. Now, a number of people have been arrested multiple times. In fact, I think the total number of arrests is about 230, but actually that's about 70 people. So the average number of arrests per person is about 3 point something. Well, of course, some people have been arrested just once, but others have been arrested multiple times. And one of the individuals who has put himself in the front line, perhaps more than many others, is this gentleman here, known as Kate McCann. And Kate was arrested no less than 8 times during the Barton Moss campaign. I believe that 5 of those arrests were directly associated with Kate locking on. Every time he was arrested, of course, he was given bail conditions by the police, preventing him from returning to Barton Moss. But Kate would get those bail conditions lifted and he would be able to return to Barton Moss. And thanks to the judiciary for upholding the fundamental right to peaceful protest. The emphasis being on the word peaceful, despite the attempts by the Greater Manchester Police and particularly the TAU, the Tactical Aid Unit, colloquially known as Thugs Are Us, despite their best attempts at intimidation, at no point during the Barton Moss campaign did anybody rise to the bait. So Kate, after his 8th arrest, was once again released on bail. And at the very end of the campaign, after the last convoy had left, Kate actually returned to camp to pick up his personal effects. But he was caught on one of the CCTV cameras at the end of Barton Moss Road. And when he went to report to the police at Swinton as part of his bail conditions, he was kept in at the police station and effectively remanded. And he was held on remand, is currently on remand, and his case is going to be heard at the Manchester courts on the 29th, I believe, which is again tomorrow, if you're watching this programme live. So if you're at a loose end tomorrow, or even if you're not at a loose end and you can make it down to the magistrates' courts in Manchester, please lend your support to a man who has shown the commitment and conviction of the anti-fracking community. This epitomises the attitude of those who are committed to ensuring this abomination is not unleashed beneath the population of this country. Last Sunday there was a vigil outside of Winson Green prison in Birmingham, and there were a number of people gathered there to let it be known that they were not impressed by Kate being remanded. And he is indeed a political prisoner, and this is the term being used by his solicitors. He is a political prisoner. This is a man who has done nothing more than demonstrate his absolute disgust at an industry that is proven, as we've seen on the Daily Mail's website today, is proven to have caused contamination wherever it's been unleashed around the world. Kate and every other member of the Barton Moss Community Protection Group, which the Manchester Police tell us has numbered some 670 people from the time the campaign started until last Monday, thanks to their ability to log every protector. So Kate is one of the 70-odd people that has been arrested, and every one of those people that has been arrested, in pretty much every case, it's an unlawful arrest or a wrongful arrest, and I, for one, absolutely salute you. You've done an amazing job, and in fact, you know, if it wasn't for you, and if it wasn't for the Greater Manchester Police, then the Barton Moss Community Protection Camp would not have achieved the outstanding success of raising awareness of this industry right throughout Greater Manchester. At the start of the campaign, the level of awareness of this industry was minimal. Today, the frack-free groups in Earlham, in Cadishead, in Chawton, in Walkden, in Tameside, in Bury, in Bolton, and over the next few months, the level of awareness is going to increase dramatically. And if iGas do return, as they are threatening to, in September, then you can absolutely guarantee that the Barton Moss Community Protection Group will reconvene at Barton Moss Road. And it doesn't matter whether Peel Holdings do get an injunction on the verge alongside Barton Moss Road. The creativity of the protection community knows no limits. So iGas, hopefully by that time you will adhere to the comments of Andrew Austin, who has stated that to return to Barton Moss would be crazy. We agree. And actually, to return anywhere else in the country would be crazy, because you're going to get a reception committee. So the Barton Moss community has disbanded, gone their separate ways. Some have had to return to the Matrix. Some have gone to the Daneshill camp. Others have gone to Upton, another Dart site, where they have effectively occupied the field where Dart are intending to get their bits in the ground. I think it might be a little bit difficult right now because there's a burgeoning community taking up residence on that field. Now, for those people in the northwest who had some concerns about going to Barton Moss because of the police presence or the reports being put out of intimidation by the protection community, here's an opportunity. Go along to Upton, meet the protectors, meet veteran protectors, meet people who are joining the community, meet people who are educating themselves on this abomination, and understand what is about to be unleashed right across the whole of the northwest of England. So here's some shots from the camp. We always stated, particularly during the eviction hearing, that the verge at Barton Moss Road would be returned to its former glory. Well, the undergrowth has been cleared. The straw that was part of the bales that we were using for wind protection has been spread along there, and already the herbs that grow naturally in this area are returning. And in fact, only yesterday, after just 48 hours, some comfrey was already coming through the straw there. Another person I want to acknowledge. Now, this is Sean Peatfield. Now, Sean wasn't arrested. Sean has contributed to the Barton Moss campaign. He has been a stalwart in terms of his photography and videoing. And Sean and Steve, Dr. Steve Spy, myself, have all submitted our video footage to the solicitors, and anything that can be used to provide the evidence to show that it was not the protection community intimidating the police, it was the other way around, and that most of those arrests were in fact illegal. And hopefully that will be used to good purpose. So Sean, he's also the quartermaster, the camp quartermaster, and the technical expert. And Sean, without you, then the camp would not have been the success that it has been. And I know that you will provide your support to other camps. Now, on today, as I'm recording this program, there is another event up in Blackpool where there is a supply side conference for the embryonic shale gas industry. This is an excellent opportunity to get some information as to who thinks they're going to provide support and supplies to this industry. And the three people there, Vanessa Vine, Tammy Samid and Anne Power, all major players in the anti-fracking community. And in fact, Vanessa and Anne are both up for awards right now for the Guardian's Campaigner of the Year. So if you go to the Guardian website or simply search for Guardian Campaigner Awards, you'll find the page there, and you can cast your vote accordingly. Well, we're going to go into a break in just a second, and after the break, you're going to watch the last walkout and watch Kevin Dunn. Kevin, who I mentioned at the start of the programme, an absolute stalwart through this campaign. And in my opinion, Kevin absolutely epitomises the people of this country who have done their research and are prepared to do whatever it takes to ensure that this industry does not get established. So thank you for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Wherever it is that you're living, monitor the planning applications, go to the Frack Off website. Just search for Frack Off. And in fact, I'm just going to pull up on the screen the front page of the Frack Off website. I think I have it here somewhere. Here we go. Coming up on the screen right now. This is the big picture. The Frack Off website is an outstanding resource. If you want to see what's going on in your area, if you want to get an update on progressions of planning applications in your area, go to this website. This is the big picture page. You can literally, no pun intended, drill down, take it into much greater detail, see who it is that's got the licenses in your area. Upcoming events, I'm going to be at Congleton Town Hall in, where's that? Southeast Cheshire on Thursday, and Congleton is unfortunately covered by a Celtic Petroleum Exploration and Development Licence, and of course the Chief Executive Officer of Celtic recently stated that those who object to the exploitation of shale gas and coal bed methane are unpatriotic. Well, let's see what the people of Congleton have to say about that. And hopefully we'll have a few people tripping down the M6 from Knutsford, which of course is George Osborne's constituency, which is nicely just outside of the Celtic licence. So if you're in the Cheshire, Staffordshire area next Thursday the 1st of May, come along to Congleton Town Hall for a 7:30 start. Thanks for joining me tonight. Here's the break and then the video of the final walkout, and I'll see you next week.
Prepare for the return of the Alternative View Conference, AV5. Humanity versus Insanity, a conference that will make a difference. Featuring the most challenging and thought-provoking speakers from across the globe. Plus an extensive market with DVDs, books and other unique items. May the 16th to the 18th, 2014. Staverton Park Hotel, Daventry, Northamptonshire. AV5, the Alternative View. Book online at alternativeview.co.uk or call us on 0207 558 8869.
Well, this is Ian R. Crane. It's day 140 of the Barton Moss campaign. And what we have here is the last of the trucks coming out of the iGas well site. So this is a handful of camp protectors and a few members of the local community doing this token walkout of the last of the trucks bringing out the porta cabins. But according to iGas, they're going to be back here in September, and at that point, that's when they're going to want to frack this well, and so it becomes a whole new ball game. So Kevin, you were pretty much here on day one.
Yes.
And here you are walking what is probably the last convoy out on day 140.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So what's your thoughts? How's the campaign gone from your perspective?
Well, I think the awareness on that side of things has absolutely been superb. The awareness has got out there now, and I think come September, when they try and go for a social licence, they're going to be in for a big shock, because people are going to be here and we're going to be stopping this completely.
So basically we've got about another, what, 5.5 months or so to raise awareness.
Raise more awareness,
yeah.
With more leaflet drops, with more people knocking on doors, and getting more people on board with what's going on, getting down to the Swinton Town Hall, getting the mayor more involved.
Because John Blameyers, who's the Chief Operating Officer of iGas, who was on the politics show yesterday, basically sort of course gave the impression that you know, they drilled the exploratory well, they found the gas, and you know, basically we're looking forward to getting the social license to be back here and get the well into production.
Well, he's going to be in for a bit of a shock, because it's not going to go to the way the plan the plan is not going to go to what he expects. He's going to be in for a big shock when he comes back in September. He's going to be finding a lot of people here who are going to stop this happening.
Excellent. And your wife's normally with you, so Gainer's not here today?
No, Gainer's not well at the moment.
She's not well, okay.
Otherwise would have been here today on this footpath.
Excellent. Well, give her our regards.
Will do, Ian.
Okay, good to see you. And Jeff, another local here.
Hello, how are you?
Hey Jeff, good to see you.
And you.
Hey, again, you've been down here pretty much since day one.
I certainly have.
So here we are, day 140.
Yes, yes.
So where has the last 5.5 months gone, huh?
Very quickly. But so much to do and little time to do it. But we've achieved our goal so far, haven't we?
Well, there's a lot of awareness around the area.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first arrived here in November, there was really not very much awareness, but now we have Frack-free Earlham and Cadishead, Frack-free Chawton, Frack-free Tameside,
beautiful,
Frack-free Bolton, Frack-free Bury, Frack-free Wigan.
Yeah, the maps fell in.
So the level of awareness is increasing dramatically.
It is, yes.
So we've got a message to the local population, or because of course 64% of the country is basically up for grabs now.
Just keep the good work up. You'll get there eventually. We're all witness and proof to it all. As you can see, the wagons are still here, and so are us. And we will keep going so.
So in September?
In September. Looking forward to it.
And we're all here to win it, we're all here to stop it. That's the answer. That's the answer going today. Going forward, the answer is we're going to stop this atrocity happening here at Barton Moss.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And Kevin and Jeff, I think both of you guys have managed to get through the campaign without being arrested.
Which is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Why would that be in? I don't know, but yeah, amazing.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, well, me too. Colin, you weren't quite so lucky. In fact, of course,
got a hat trick.
You got a hat trick, 3 arrests.
Yeah, and I wasn't.
And of course, one illegal arrest where we caught them bundling you into the back of a van.
3
of course.
illegal arrests, 3 unlawful arrests.
3 unlawful arrests. Well, one of course in the back of the van where they eventually let you go.
Extra
the extra one.
Yeah.
So, how have you found the hospitality of the Greater Manchester Police?
Oh God, you know, well, we were told as soon as we landed, as you'd be well aware, Ian, that they did have a special reputation and that they were quite proud of that reputation. At this point in time, I can confirm they've worked very hard to keep that reputation, if not to take it up a notch for sure.
Well, I'm told that the number of arrests is something around about 230 or so, which I think is actually about 75 people. Because many of them are multi-arrests.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Average then.
You're Mr. Average, yeah. You got your 3 point something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that you know, from my perspective, I would say that I'm very grateful to the Greater Manchester Police for providing us with the opportunity to get so much publicity.
Yeah.
Without the Greater Manchester Police, and particularly the TAU, Thugs Are Us,
Yeah.
you know, we probably wouldn't have got quite so much publicity as we've actually got.
For sure, it's that friction that has made
I mean, that's the tragedy, of course, because the mainstream media have effectively put a blackout on this. There are ways and means to get the word out without the lamestream media. So, Colin, you're going to be back here in September?
Who knows? That's a long way away. Who knows where we'll be by then? I mean, my message for the local community, we're on the cusp of departing. Really, it's fight for your lifetime. You know, this next 6 months, absolutely crucial that the word gets spread, that the council have the pressure come on them. I guess we hear that they look forward to gaining their social licence. Well, you know, it's clear at the moment there's much more social licence for direct action or for people putting their bodies on this lane to stop it. It's the thing at the moment that has the social licence. I only expect that situation to be enhanced. Local people, it's crucial. Make a date now, September. It's looking more and more clear. All the normal systems of democracy, they're failing woefully. I don't expect any change with that. So make a date for September, get yourself down here, fight for your lifetime.
And I mean, right now there are some 2,000 people camped out in northern New South Wales, because the people of New South Wales have realised that the magnitude of the devastation that this industry has caused in Queensland is about to cross the border, and they're determined to stop it. So hopefully we're going to see, well, not just 2,000, but even more down here if they actually try and get back in September.
If they dare to frack.
If they dare to frack. Although Andrew Austin apparently, in a local community meeting, said that iGas would have to be crazy to want to come back to Barton Moss. Well, I think we know they're crazy anyway, because otherwise they wouldn't be trying to do this. So
no dispute around that.
No, exactly.
Addicts can't be reasoned.
No, exactly. So you can see a handful of people here walking the trucks out on this last walk. Dan, you've been here pretty much the duration.
Yeah.
And how many arrests do you have under your belt?
I have only the one arrest.
Only the one arrest, and that was actually a trumped up, contrived charge.
That was a pretty ridiculous charge. It was obviously they arrested me on threats to kill charges. Bailed me away for over a month from the site on those charges, and then dropped those and replaced them with public order section 4. So
they couldn't get you through the normal channels of obstructing the highway or obstructing a police officer, so they had to cook something up.
They cooked something up. They cooked something up right and proper, but it fell through very quickly. And the CPS decided to change those charges. So at least those charges are not over our heads anymore. But we've still got court on the 28th for this month. So we'll just wait to see what happens then. And continue. I mean, I was arrested 3 times during last summer in the Balkan protests. Every single one of those arrests has come to nothing. It was either no further action after release from the cells, or it was a letter sent to me saying that the case had been dropped. And I think that's what's going to happen in so many of these circumstances, because it's clear that people are doing what is lawful and what is right. And there's only a certain, the police may arrest us, brutalise us, but will the courts uphold that same position, or will they do what they're supposed to do and deliver justice?
Meanwhile, we keep working to get the word out.
Meanwhile, we've got our entire community that's organising, that's united, that's strong, and it's a seriously formidable force. And I agree with Andrew Austin for the first time ever in that iGas must be crazy to come back to Barton Moss and to deal with this community here now.
This growing community,
the community's still growing, and when we leave, it will continue to grow. So the opposition in the community is really strong, and I don't think it's going to be feasible for them to continue their operations.
Absolutely. A year on, by the time they come to the next general election, it's been cut down. We're missing, Jackie, we're missing the TAU. Where are they? Where are they? The party's not complete without the TAU.
That's a big story, sir.
So is this the police against fracking because you've stopped?
Yeah, what's going on?
You're blocking the convoy.
We're not Right then. Because there's the vehicles to stop.
All right then. You are now committing offence of aggravated trespass.
Why am I committing
Because you're stopping them in the road waiting for these to
No, you stop.
and you're trespassing. If we can keep moving, gents and folks, that'd be absolutely, that'd be fantastic. If you can't keep up, or you can't walk at a reasonable speed, which is determined by myself, then just walk the line. All right, thank you. That isn't reasonable enough.
Why not?
It's too slow. There's wagons here, there's people here that are trying to get around their normal days, they're trying to get to work, they're trying to go about their normal business. I am singling you out.
Yeah, you are singling me out.
And because you're the slowest.
I feel like you're intimidating me now. I'd just like to go away.
I'm warning you. Well, yeah, it is intimidation.
It's not an offence. It's not an offence.
It is intimidation.
Right, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You will be arrested. So if you want to take it as intimidation, that'll be all right.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it's intimidation.
Too slow. All right.
Well, it's all right. I'm on a public footpath walking.
Okay.
I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not committing offence. I'm not committing offence. I just want you to know.
Well, you are committing offence.
No, I'm not committing offence.
Why is that?
Because I'm walking on a public footpath and I've got the right over vehicles on a public footpath. I'm not slowing down. I'm walking the same pace. Do not make this an issue.
Well,
if you feel like you want to arrest me, do it.
Well, I will.
Right, okay.
Well, whilst you got me attention, why don't you tell me about the pros and cons of fracking? Because that's why you're here. So you tell me. You convert.
There's no pros to fracking, is there?
Well, go on, you tell me. What's your environmental argument whilst I'm here?
Really? Apart from.
No, what's your environmental argument for it?
Well, I'm not here, am I, for that?
Well, why are you
I'm here to facilitate yourselves. I'm here to facilitate.
No, you're not. You're here to facilitate the iGas. You're here to facilitate the iGas convoy because that's exactly what many of the police have put in their statements, that they are here to facilitate the iGas convoy.
Just step a little bit away from it.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise. It was all peaceful when I left this march and walked up there, and I passed you on the way up, didn't I? And sometimes
I'm not slowing down. I'm walking the same pace. Do not assault me, please. Do not assault me. Stop assaulting me.
And you're right in the middle of it, ain't you, Kia?
You're just assaulting me here.
I should have known.
You just need to touch me, please. Just
You're
stop
so
assaulting
predictable.
me. Stop assaulting me. Stop assaulting me. Stop assaulting me.
It's unreal.
You're ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
How did you get them 2 pips on your shoulder? How did you get them 2 pips on your shoulder?
Thank you, folks. We'll keep moving along. That'd be great.
It's really predictable and expectable that it'd be you right in the middle of it.
And you've no right to determine the speed that I have to walk down here on a public footpath. And I've got the right over the vehicles by law. And a judge has come out and actually said we've got the law over the vehicles. Yes, he has.
What did he say?
He said it's a public footpath.
He said it's a public footpath. And the pedestrians have the right of way.
I think you'll find that was a CPS submission who acquiesced. And rightfully so.
You're just here to aggravate. That's what you're doing. Stop assaulting me.
I'm not assaulting you.
Yes, you are actually. You're assaulting me. Someone just filming me assaulting me. Stop assaulting me.
Are you not famous enough? Are you not famous? Do you crave fame? Do you want your next YouTube hit? Is that what you're trying to do? What are you doing?
Yours is good.
What are you doing?
You don't want to leave in a peaceful way, do you? You just don't want to leave peacefully, do you? A good lad. A good lad. I think I'm older than you, son.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, no worries. I think I'm a bit more wiser than you as well, and I've not committed. I'm a bit more wiser than you.
Thank you very much. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
It's not blocking, is it?
That's
Is it
great.
blocking?
Yeah. Sincerely. Is it yours, this cab?
Yeah. It's wide enough, yeah. Like I knew it would be. Yeah, no. Yeah, it was just to try and get me off the line. We know what it was. Tactical GMP tactics.
Well, I have to say, these guys have absolutely excelled at giving us the publicity. Because without them, no one, a walk down,
I know.
No one's interested. But these guys show up.
He's actually just said intimidation, Tindy, Ian.
Yeah, I know. I heard him say it.
He actually said.
Yes, it is intimidation.
It's intimidation. Actually said that. Thank you for the camera for that one.
Yeah, got it on here as well.
Yeah.
There's a foot to spare on.
So that'll be a good day in court if I get arrested.
Well, at least he hasn't asked you if you've been drinking.
Oh no, I've not had that one yet, have I?
Go, keep it slow. slowing down.
I'm not
Keep
slowing
moving,
down.
please.
In fact, I picked my pace up,
Thank you
actually.
very much.
I picked my pace
Thank
up.
you.
You'll be, you know, I've actually picked my pace
Step
up.
down to there,
No, I
you'll be
don't
fine.
actually.
There are a lot of other people that are trying to use this.
Yeah, no, and I'm one of them. I'm one of them, my friend. I'm one of them.
There we go.
Well, there you go.
What's everyone else this morning? I've had a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and I've had another cup of tea. That's two.
Go on,
Stop
keep going,
stop
please.
making
Keep
this an
going.
issue for yourself. Stop trying to make yourself a bit more.
Thank you.
This is just unbelievable. This is the infamous
leave it alone. It's
Sergeant, now Inspector Kehoe, actually trying to make a name for himself on the last day.
Investigation as it is.
The last day
Oh, right.
of the iGas campaign here.
Stop taking your issues out on me.
Obviously trying to get into the TAU, I would think.
Well, I don't know what he's trying to get into. He's trying to get into something with me. There's no need for it at all.
So yeah.
There's no need for it. There's no need for it. She's just acting like a child. Acting like a child.
Thank you.
Didn't the chair of the IPCC say that she couldn't actually investigate anything because they're all behave like
Well, they're like just like children in a like school bullies. Like school bullies. That's what you like.
Yeah.
No, I'm 55 years old. I do not need you to touch you, to touch me with your arms. I'm 55 years old. Never broke the law. Paid all my taxes all my life. Do not need you to bully me down a public footpath, which I've got the right to. So go away.
We were discussing
Just go away.
The pros and cons of
No, we wasn't actually.
But you've already said you're not interested.
Yeah, you've already said.
No, you're not.
No, you're not interested.
You're not interested.
nice discussion.
Well, he's sent me out the way because he knows I'll jump on him.
Yeah, we just left that.
Do you not realise this guy will still get paid? It's ridiculous what we're saying. You know, it's supposed to be facilitate.
Keep going, thank you.
Do you know the word
Thank
facilitate?
you.
Do you know what the word facilitate means?
You tell me.
Well, facilitate means facilitating somebody.
That's right.
Right, you're facilitating the vehicles and you're facilitating us.
That's right.
Okay, so you could ask the vehicles to slow down a bit if you felt like I'm going too slow. Facilitate both sides, not just one side.
That's right. Well,
Yes.
that's what we're doing, isn't it?
No, you're actually pushing me down here.
Well, when I was spread up, that's great, that.
Agenda.
Appreciate that.
Pushing
Great,
through the
that.
poisoning.
I don't know if there's anything that's been a distractor for me. I think it's just purely
There's a frack.
aggregate vehicle. Oops, sorry. I think there's.
I didn't spell on it.
No, you're alright.
You need to go and do your research.
I have done it.
Right. Obviously not good enough. So what gets me is once them vehicles leave here, they're gone. Doesn't matter about all these buildings and what they're getting in and out. All they're interested in is iGas.
Oh, I know. I know.
And they know that, and we know that.
It's very clear. The police,
I could lie down on here once the vehicles have left. You don't care about these local businesses.
the police
here.
statements
Do you know what I'm saying?
categorically state they're here to facilitate the iGas convoys.
Yep.
It's very,
Exactly.
very clear.
Yep. Or as we say, iGas private army.
iGas private army, yeah.
Absolutely.
The tragedy is that if this industry does kick off, every one of the officers that has participated in this is culpable.
Absolutely.
All right.
And there's no, I was just following orders.
No. No.
For some tea? Soya milk in it. That's all I could find.
I can't get that. She's vegan.
So apparently the police have logged some 670 people participating in this campaign.
That's terrible.
Only 670, they say. Apart from the thousands, of course, that came on the weekend marches.
Yeah. And I don't think the complaints stack up quite right, Ian, do they?
No. Well, I mean, let's face it, Chief Inspector Mark Roberts has a very casual relationship with that fundamental thing called truth. Because we've asked him to provide the video evidence to support his allegations of protectors intimidating police, and funnily enough, none of the video evidence has been forthcoming. I mean, between the Greater Manchester Police and the Metropolitan Police, I think the reputation of the UK police is probably about as low as it could possibly get.
You are?
No, I'm not.
Well, I'm walking at the same pace and you're walking into me, and please step in.
But your job is to gather evidence. Your job is not to facilitate.
Do you know what my job is here?
It's gather evidence.
Right. I'm a police officer first, and then evidence gather a second.
Oh, when you say one here,
no, but you have upheld your role. You've upheld your role throughout the campaign. So why all of a sudden do you want to get in the front line?
My argument. He just said he's a police officer first. When I'm trying to put complaints into the police on the Barton Moss and take notes, the police say you can't do it here. You've got to go to Swinton Police Station. And you're not a police officer. You can't do it here.
I can't take a complaint.
Right, there you go. There you go.
So you're not really a police officer.
You're not really a police officer, then are you? You're a gatherer.
A police officer, as a constable, can't take a complaint.
This argument that you're having at the moment, I mean,
no, it's just facts. It's just facts.
It's just.
No, it's not.
It is. That's great, that.
You shouldn't say things if you can't back them up.
Purely.
No, it's not.
It's purely antagonistic towards the police.
Oh my God.
Antagonistic. We have hours of footage of antagonism. We have footage coming out.
Loads of that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we've got hours of footage of people goading police officers, etc. So we can compare footage at court, perhaps.
But the police are supposed to have the capability to deal with that. What we've seen
We're human beings too, I think, as this young lady said.
But you haven't behaved like... The Greater Manchester Police, and particularly the TAU, have not behaved like human beings. There are individuals that have, but collectively, the Greater Manchester Police and the TAU have behaved like absolute thugs.
Yep, absolutely.
Just I
mean, once the earpiece goes in the ear, all humanity just disappears, doesn't it? Because you're basically
look at this here. Look at this here.
Your choices. You can
right, well that's your choice. You can back off. Right. Hey? You can back off.
Can you stop trying to stand on me, please?
No, just stop walking into my space.
You're walking to my space. Have you thought of that one? You can always walk past me and repass.
Well, these lorries don't go past you as well, but I'm sure you won't go to the edge, will you? Is that a no? I thought not.
That's your arm first.
We don't want to speed up the poisoning of the planet. Forgive us, sorry.
I thought the 2020 agreement was all about that. Is that not the case, Ian?
What's that?
The 2020 agreement. The 2020 agreement.
What 2020 agreement?
By 2020 they've got to reduce carbon emissions by 20%. Is that not?
What, this is going to reduce carbon emissions? You have not done your research.
No, not this.
When they'll say whatever they think they have to say to be able to do what they want to do.
To make money. Because that's the bottom line.
Yes, thank you.
Pensions are at stake as well.
Money,
don't forget that. Pensions are at stake.
I'm told that in the press today that
the jobs are at risk. Yeah. Privatising, yeah, that's coming.
Well, they're welcome to some company instead of us.
Yeah, if anyone will take this offers and get paid for it.
Yeah, very welcome to do that. Very welcome.
They might have a bit more empathy as well, Ian, than you lot.
Oh, so it's a good thing then?
Empathy?
No,
yeah, empathy is very good. And what I've seen in the GMP on the last 5 months, I've not been impressed with the lies I've seen and the brutality. Would I trust a GMP police officer now? Not a chance. Would I support the police now? Not a chance. Would I report crime if I saw it? Not a chance. Would I have done it 6 months ago? Would I have done it 6 months ago? Yes. Unfortunately, GMP are corrupt.
Why is that?
Well, you tell me, because everybody's investigating you.
Why are they corrupt? You tell me.
Because you don't do your job. Because you don't do your job right.
In what respect?
You just cover things up. Did you mention Hillsborough?
Well, mention Hillsborough. Which force was that? Was it GMP?
I think there's a few forces there, wasn't there?
Not to mention the Peterloo massacre again. That was
It's funny how that flare was never found, Ian. You know the flare?
Yeah, well, but they have a problem. GMP have a real problem because that flare incident allegedly occurred in the early hours of Saturday morning.
But it took how long?
Well, hang on a second, because one of the Greater Manchester Police told me on the Friday morning that there'd been a report of a flare being fired at a police helicopter. And my response, and I quote, is that's a crock and you know it.
Yeah.
And consequently, we are never going to hear any more about that incident. Because guess what? My camera was rolling. So we have it on video that the flare incident allegedly occurred on the early hours of Friday morning, yet the official story is that it occurred on the early hours of Saturday morning. So somebody let the cat out of the bag a little bit too soon.
I wonder who that could have been.
I wonder.
Oh, this is an interesting one. GMP, 20 deaths in the last 11 years. The highest death rate of any
In
police
custody,
force
in
the
custody.
country.
Yeah, in the custody.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's been
That's
sued just
true.
recently. Just recently in custody.
So here we are, Monday, April, well, 14th, I guess, lost track of days. And here we are, right at the end of Barton Moss Road. The last of the convoys coming out, and Inspector Kehoe, he of the false accusation of drink driving, is given the task of escorting the convoy. Huh?
Folks, if you could just go around to the right hand side, that'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
Well, you couldn't stay away from the party.
What's going on?
You couldn't stay away from the party.
You missed us.
You said each person shot for the last day.
Oh, it's finished.
Huh? I told you they couldn't stay away from the party, couldn't they? Yeah?
I'm going to see if I can get that sort of response next time.
There you go. And look at that, must be telepathy.
It's been part of the last day.
Yeah. What are you guys going to do? You guys going to get laid off?
I'm back to 999, mate.
Back to what?
999, Carl. Back to my bread and butter, that's what I do. Yeah,
you missed it?
Pardon?
You missed it?
No, because I've been going back every week. Yeah, I've been working the weekends back where I work.
Yeah. So how do you think it's gone, Lee? How do you think the whole thing has gone? You don't have a view?
I would love to give you an honest view. As a policing operation, the part that we've played as police liaison has been a bit groundbreaking for us because it's been new to us. But I feel that we've done okay as police liaison, and I'm not in a position to comment about the whole operation because I've not had a view of everything. But our part, I hope, we've acquitted ourselves well. We've certainly got a lot of links with the protesters, genuine links, you know, not just business links, but we just speak to speak's sake. Play good self, you know, nice guy, and we know where you're coming from, you're passionate, so keep it up.
I won't ask you to comment on the TAU.
Good luck. I have no comment about that, obviously. You just answered the question for me, thank you.
No. Appreciate it. Thanks, take care. Any comments, Andy? How do you think it's gone?
What, today?
This is day 140 and you've been here for about 120 of them.
No, he has not, about 50.
No, just nice to meet some of you. We'll see you again.
I'm sure of that. Well, I hope not, but not. I mean that in the
even if it's
nicest possible sense.
Somewhere else, and take care of yourself.
Easter Thanks. All the best. Take care. So, no final comments about the TAU?
No final comments about the TAU.
Introducing the magazine for free thinkers. 100 pages of high quality colour print. Packed with information the mainstream media will never tell you. Published quarterly, covering a range of subjects including politics, history, science and technology. Uncensored magazine. Think for yourself. Back issues also available on CD-ROM in PDF format. To subscribe, visit worldwideweb.uncensoredmag.co.uk or call us on 0207 558 8869.
This is Ian R. Crane. It's day 149 of the Barton Moss campaign. It's actually 149 days since the first convoy came into Barton Moss Road, delivering infrastructure to the iGas well site just about half a mile away from here. It's 9 days since the last convoy left the well site. So iGas have drilled their 10,500 feet exploratory well. They've now taken the samples to be analysed and they're letting it be known in their closed community meetings that they intend to be back here sometime around late September. As you can see from the view here behind me, the Barton Moss Protection Community Camp has moved on exactly as they always said they would once iGas had finished their work here. So people have gone to various other locations right now, to Daneshill in Nottinghamshire, where Dart Energy are drilling an exploratory well over on the eastern side of the country, or to Upton. Now the Upton camp is a preemptive strike, where the protection community have established a presence in a location where Dart intend to drill at some future date. So obviously they're not going to be getting there anytime soon, as they're going to have to go through an eviction process to remove that camp, just as Peel Holdings tried to do here on Barton Moss. Back in February, I think that Peel Holdings probably succumbed to the pressure from one of their tenants, otherwise known as iGas, and despite the fact that the protection community had been here for close on 3 months, Peel Holdings served eviction papers on the protection community and obviously anticipated that it would simply be a rubber stamping exercise and that the camp would either leave immediately with the threat of a court hearing, or once the judge had rubber stamped their eviction order, then the camp could be evicted by Sher Group's bailiffs, as otherwise known as the Protector Removal Team. But it didn't quite work out as Peel and iGas had intended, thanks to some tremendous legal counsel from Lee Day and the barrister Lindsay Johnson. Peel were rebuffed, and despite the fact that the judge ruled that the camp should be evicted, then once it went to the appeal court ruled that there was indeed a case to hear. Consequently, the appeal hearing has been scheduled for July 16th, which is some 3 months from now. Well, the reality is that Peel have a decision to make now, as do iGas, of course, whether or not those proceedings continue or whether they simply withdraw. Meanwhile, 6 months or so until iGas threaten to return. No doubt that Peel Holdings will try to do something with this verge to try and ensure that the community protection camp cannot return. But this is just one piece of land on all of the moss. The protection community is nothing if not creative. So consequently, it doesn't really matter what Peel Holdings try and do. The protection community will be back here the moment that iGas think that they're going to get their bits back in the ground, because when they do return, they are going to be here to frack. Whether they call it an acid frack, a mini frack, an acid etch, doesn't really matter. It's all semantics. The reality is that they will be wanting to frack, and at that point the whole game changes. So just as the community protection camp has been here primarily to raise awareness in the local community, something that it has had tremendous success in doing, the level of awareness in the immediate surrounds was fairly minimal when the camp arrived. Today there are frack-free groups in Earlham and Cadishead, in Chawton, in Walkden, in Tameside, in Bury, in Bolton, and springing up all over the place. So the reality is that the level of awareness has grown exponentially in the 149 days since this campaign kicked off. So that will continue. So when iGas do return to Barton Moss Road, or even if they think they can build entry and exit routes on and off the M62, as I said, creativity will come into play. Meanwhile, of course, David Cameron is determined to make protest illegal, just as has been done in Victoria, in Australia, and of course he's also planning on introducing legislation which will make it impossible for people to raise any kind of legal objection to the mother frackers drilling under their property. This is a campaign that has to be absolutely nailed in the next 13 months. Before the next general election, we have to ensure that all parties understand that fracking in the UK will not be tolerated by the population of this country. It's an abomination which covers the entire social, political, philosophical and religious spectrum. 64% of this country is potentially going to be targeted by the fracking industry. It will, in the space of a generation, turn much of, particularly the northwest of England, the Bowland Shale, into an industrial wasteland. If we don't stop this, we will be condemning future generations to lives of absolute abject misery. So this is Ian Crane on day 149 of the Barton Moss campaign, heading back south, but I'll be back here just as soon as iGas state that they're coming back to try and get their bits in the ground. Watch this space.